What's going on, YouTube? This is SG1 Sports, and this is the SEC Football Channel. We continue to break down every SEC team's recruiting class, showing you what these teams did and what positions they got players at. We're not going to have a lot of information on these individual players. This is really just to look at what the team needed and did they fill those needs. And for Kentucky, I thought they needed immediate help at the linebacker position to get some depth there. Could use some players in the secondary as well. You look at the long-term future, they've got a lot of young players on the roster, so it was really just about adding depth, maybe adding some playmakers to this team for the future, but no real major concerns besides that linebacker position, really, and then maybe the secondary. So let's get started. You see their top player here, Jared Casey, an inside linebacker. So right away you see that's where they were going. And I didn't see any early enrollees for Kentucky, so that was a bit surprising. J.J. Weaver, a 4-star defensive end. They also added Moses Douglas, a 4-star safety. Only 3 4-stars in this class, according to 24/7 Sports. They did add a 3-star cornerback and a 3-star outside linebacker, but Kentucky's done pretty well in the past with these 3-star recruits. Look at what they just did this past season. Taj Dodson, a 3-star athlete, I believe is going to play defensive back. They add Travis Tisdale, a 3-star running back, 3-star defensive tackle, another defensive end there, a 3-star, and a 3-star wide receiver. And again, I will break this down for you by position here in just a second. They add Marquez Bembry. I believe he's going to be playing linebacker. He's listed as a 3-star athlete. They also added a 3-star tight end, a 3-star safety, a 3-star defensive tackle, a couple of 3-star cornerbacks there as well. So you can see there seemed to be a pretty good emphasis on defense, and that's really, I think, the direction they needed to go. Maybe you could have boosted the offensive line a little bit, add some depth there, but overall, I thought offensively they didn't really need a whole lot. They added also another 3-star inside linebacker, a couple of quarterbacks. One is a pro-style quarterback, one is a dual-threat quarterback, both guys 3 stars. You figure one of them will be the future quarterback for this team. They added a 3-star wide receiver and a couple of 3-star offensive linemen. So that is the complete recruiting class for Kentucky. Let's break it down now by position. 2 quarterbacks. Again, that's going to add some depth for them into the future. I expect Terry Wilson to be the starter this year, though, no doubt about it. Some depth of running back, potentially. They added a 3-star there, a couple of 3-star wide receivers, a 3-star tight end, and they only added 2 players on the offensive line, and we showed you those. They were actually the 2 lowest rated players in this class. So that's an area where I think they maybe could have done a little bit better. And overall, this recruiting class, I believe, is ranked number 34 according to 24/7 Sports. That's a little bit of a disappointment. You saw how well this team played last season. They had a great year. I mean, beat Penn State in the bowl game. Had Benny Snell go out as just one of the top running backs in SEC history, and yet they couldn't really capitalize on that. You see a team like Arkansas have a great recruiting class. Ole Miss had a great recruiting class. Those 2 teams didn't have anywhere near the on-the-field success that Kentucky had last year. So again, it's a disappointment, in my opinion, that they didn't do better, that they weren't able to go out and get a couple of maybe stars, maybe a running back to be the next Benny Snell. They just did not do that. And again, offensively, they didn't need a whole lot, honestly, but you, again, would like to see at least one 4-star player, at least one big recruit. But perhaps they know what they're doing. Perhaps they know what they're getting, and they feel confident that some of these 3-stars are going to be great players in the future. Of course, 3 stars sometimes are better than 5 stars. You never really know, and I'm just one person. I can't break down all these players and tell you which 3 stars are going to surprise and which 5 stars are going to be bust. All I can go off of is the recruiting ratings. And again, we're using 24/7 Sports here, but a little bit of a disappointing class for Kentucky because they didn't really need a whole lot, though. We'll give them a C+, and we'll see if some of these guys can develop into great players in the future. Now, defensively, they did, I thought, a better job, and they really got most of their talent. Most of this recruiting class came on the defensive side. They added a couple of defensive ends, a couple of defensive tackles. That one defensive end is a 4-star. Added 3 linebackers, including a 4-star inside linebacker. So you're talking about 7 players added to this front 7. Very solid job there. And in the secondary, another area I thought they could use some guys. They added 3 cornerbacks, all 3 stars. a 4-star safety and a 3-star safety. But not only that, these 2 athletes that they added, they're going to play, one of them will play defensive back, one's going to play linebacker. I believe that's correct. If it's not, you guys can let me know. That means everybody on this screen you see now is a defensive player. That's very, very impressive. You're talking about, let's see, 14 players added on the defensive side of the ball. Very impressive class on this side. Now, again, offensively, they didn't need a whole lot. I would have liked to have seen them added a little bit more on the offensive line. But defensively, I think this is a very good class. Now, they didn't go out and get 5-star recruits and a bunch of 4 stars. Only 3 here, as you see. But it's Kentucky. This is not a powerhouse program. And I think to get what they got, and I do think, like I said, some of these 3-star players are going to be great players. I mean, when you get this many guys, some of them are not going to be great probably, but some of them are, and they'll develop into really solid players. So I'm going to give them an A on defense. Again, if this was Alabama, this wouldn't be an A-type defensive class, but it's Kentucky, and because of that, I think this is a pretty solid class. So this is a B+ type class for me overall for Kentucky. Now, if we're just comparing the overall talent, this is probably a D compared to the other SEC teams. But in getting what they needed and getting what you would expect to get out of a program like Kentucky, I thought they did a good job on defense and an okay job on offense, but definitely could have done better there. Let me know your thoughts down in the comments below. Thank you guys for watching this video, and stay tuned for more here on the SG1 Sports SEC Football Channel.